the technophilia era right now. I think that the techno era and the digital era that we're in should give us pause to get too confident in any version of what's really going on. Because there are a lot of people that want to know what's really going on with the governments, what's really going on with these people and that people. But a lot of the times, what they're doing is they're finding actual conspiracies, but they're relating different conspiracies together as though it's all one big conspiracy. And I disagree with that. I think that the fact that conspiracies are so open and so common, and just to give an example, like imagine you're at an office, you work at an office. There's somebody in the office that a lot of people don't like for whatever reason, and someone's organizing a party and they invite everyone in the office except for that person. So they create a conspiracy so that nobody tells that person that there's a party going on. That's an everyday kind of conspiracy. That happens in playgrounds and schoolyards. That happens all the time. But we don't think of that in the sort of grandiose way that we think of the conspiracies happening at a multinational or a governmental level. Now, some of the conspiracies I outright think are ridiculous. I don't believe in lizard people. I don't think that that's a real thing. We all have lizard ancestry, so we have parts of our brain and our bodies that are connected to being lizards and reptiles, but that doesn't mean that we can take off our human suits and become lizards at the end of the day. I think that that's kind of hilarious and that's kind of just a weird thing that has taken hold, but I definitely don't believe in that. Now, the fact is, there are secret societies. There's lots and lots of secret societies, and that's been going on for ages. The Masons are one of the most commonly known secret societies. Secret, not so secret. You know, the fact that we know about them means that they're not that secret. A lot of religions or mystical traditions have secret societies as well. Within the Roman Catholic Church, you know, Dan Brown is very well known for trying to investigate that, and I'm sure there's a lot of creativity that gets put into turning that into works of fiction because, again, if it's secret, how can anyone really know? If there's so many people trying so hard to keep people from knowing, nobody's really going to know. But the fact is that if they continue their secret society, people will start to tell and they will start to leak information. So it's kind of both. It's like, yeah, okay, the conspiracies are there, they're happening, there are secret societies, but how can you as an outsider really know? And it would take some pretty high level investigation to really figure that kind of stuff out. So if you're in that field, you know, that's very interesting. And there are people that spend their lives trying to figure those conspiracies out and trying to figure those secret societies out by actually investigating and talking to people and figure it out. But the fact is that we can all lie, everybody can lie. And so there's bound to be these layers of misinformation. Now, the misinformation is something that has been studied a bit, and what they found was that actually online, misinformation travels faster than real information. And that is a scary thing to think about. And I think the reason behind that is that when people make up a story, they're making up the story precisely because it grabs your attention. They're trying to grab your attention. They're trying to get you to see the story and be alarmed. And that happens in fiction as well. I think John Mulaney joked about quicksand and how when you grow up, you really think quicksand is going to be a much bigger deal than it is. Because so many stories that you tell children involve quicksand. You know, I even remember when I was a child in the schoolyard, and there was a girl who tried to convince us all that in fact another child had been in this mud because there was a boot in the mud. And she said there was a girl that went in there and she got swallowed up because that was quicksand. And so to stay away from that patch of dirt. And it was just regular mud, and I'm sure she just got her boot stuck in. But we were all in shock and fear that what if this is true, that this is a patch of quicksand and it swallowed up a child already. And so we had to be really careful of it because we read all these stories that say that quicksand is real. So she created a conspiracy right there. So that's the kind of thing that happens a lot. There are compulsive liars out there. I know people, I've hung out with people that are compulsive liars, and they make up stories all the time. And they make up relationships with people, they make up all kinds of stories about their background. And it's frustrating because I think that it makes social trust much more difficult. And I think that we are really in an era where we really can't trust each other